You know, the NFL Combine is really, really special. Let me just tell you, it makes and it breaks a lot of opportunities that a lot of kids get at the end of the day. But let me just tell you, this has been a heck of a combine that we have gotten recently. And you know, is it anything new that we're seeing the results that we're getting out of so many athletes? Look, I tried to tell you that this was going to be a combine that is going to make and break a lot of guys. And I told you it was going to expose a lot of the flaws that you saw within a lot of these athletes. Guys, I have the paper right here. I'm giving you my winners and my losers. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys that I thought really elevated their draft stock after this combine. And I'm telling you, they put on a show. The D linemen, hey, have a day, D linemen, stand up. Shout out to all my D lineman groups out there. Showed out. I mean, absolutely showed out all damn night. It was impressive. And look, I'm extremely excited for this D-line group that is out there. Guys, this combine that you see is going to bring out a lot of good things out of it. Guys, there's a lot of dogs in there. And look, there's no doubt in my mind, there's first rounders upon first rounders upon first rounders in here. I'm just telling you right now, there's so much that you can't believe that it's almost a joke looking at how deep this D-line room is. I think it's probably the defenses that we've seen probably I think since 2022 or 23, whichever year it was that we got Aiden Hutchinson out of that draft class. I'm trying to look right now. Yeah, it was 22 that we got Aiden Hutchinson, Trayvon Walker, Kayvon Thibodeau, all out of that draft class. Damn, George Karlaftis, Jermaine Johnson, all the guys that really showed out all damn night, man. I mean, it was impressive. And guys, I'm really excited for what is going to come out of this D-line class. All right. We are live. This is Inside the Huddle. Thank you all for joining inside. I am your host, as always, Lucas Hill. Thank you all for joining in for another great edition. We have a lot to discuss on tonight's show. We obviously have to talk about a lot that happened around the NFL Combine. I have my winners and losers for this week. We got to talk about the coaching changes that are going on at LSU. Got to talk about that situation that's going on in Texas A&M. Just signed a new deal with a brand new multimedia deal with this thing called Playfly Sports. We'll talk about what that means for their future and what that means in regards to the funding for NIL. But everybody do us a favor. Hold on, I got a question already from our boy Cowboy Use. That's Ty. What you think of Zy Alexander, former SCLU transfer? Yeah, I know who Zy is. I liked him. He was good. I thought I watched the film of him whenever he was at the Shrine Bowl too. He showed out there. Not as fast as I thought, but I do think that this is probably late second, early third rounder. Dude's got incredible talent. He's going to start. Make no mistake about it. That he's going to climb up the depth chart. I promise you that. I just have that much faith in him, and I have that much confidence in a guy like that. You can't, dude, you find talent anywhere. I love Zai. I love what he brings to the table as a DB. I think he's one of the most underrated just in this class. And that's because of just what you have. And I think that's a big reason. That's why it's because of just that there's so much depth in this combine that it's ridiculous. And I wasn't impressed with some of the DB rooms, but I will say this, for what we get, Zai Alexander stands out. You know, he didn't really do a whole lot numbers-wise in the combine. I know he ran a 4.56 40, 31.5-inch vert and 9'8" broad jump, but honestly, it's just something, it's not really going to hurt him at the end of the day. It's not. Trust me. It's not. But guys, we are live inside the huddle once again. I am your host, as always, Lucas Hill. If you're watching us on Instagram, make sure that you are following us at Lucas_Hill_17. And make sure you turn on your notifications so that you are notified every time we go live. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure that you like, share to all those groups, and subscribe. Turn on the bell notification so that you are also notified every time we are live. Make also our signature audience out there on X, Twitter, whatever you call it. Make sure that you follow us at Lucas_Hill23 right here on my right. Your left, doesn't matter which one. But make sure that you are tuned in there. Want to thank our good friends over at vocalbreaks.com for sponsoring us every time we go live. Vocalbreaks.com. Going over to their site and use code LucasHill10 for 10% off your first or off of your monthly subscription. If you want to get the best in tracks, or if you're a DJ or a music producer, get the best in it. Go to vocalbreaks.com. Use that promo code LucasHill10 for more and get that 10% discount. All right. Let's go to a couple more comments. All right. I agree. Yes. All right. Let's get after it. So, my top performers so far, and I think we have one more round to go because we still got to go to the wide receivers and the DBs, or the wide receivers and the running backs tomorrow, I want to say. But yeah, man, we're really excited for it. Yeah, we've gone through all the defense is done. And I think we just got to do quarterbacks, running backs, and receivers. I think tomorrow and Sunday, I want to say. Yeah. So tomorrow and Sunday we'll be doing all the rest of the offensive skill groups, and then I think specialists. But I don't know if specialists are involved in it. Anyways, so far, let me give you my list of top performers. Number one, this is a guy that I had on my list. This is a guy that I thought had been not really talked about a lot in the DB room. You know, a lot of people have been focusing on guys like Will Johnson. You know, and look, why not? I mean, this is arguably the top DB in all of college football. You know, Travis Hunter, which honestly, I don't know where he's going to be in the NFL. That's the only thing I'll say. But I will say this, there's so many other guys. I know Siobhan Ravel, I don't know if he participated in the combine. If he didn't, I mean, it is what it is. But No, he was there, but I don't think he's participating. He's an interesting prospect. Malachi Starks, Ben Morrison. Everybody talks about him, but everybody just seems to forget about Maxwell Harrison. Guys, Maxwell Harrison isn't even a top 10 DB listed. That is what is incredible to me. But guys, he showed out. I mean, you're talking about a guy, two-time second team All SEC, was in the Senior Bowl and had a great showing. I thought he had an unbelievable showing at the Senior Bowl, and I think he also recaps that in the combine. So far, fastest 40-yard dash belongs to him at 4.28. Guys, this is a freak athlete in Maxwell Harrison. I mean, the guy is an unbelievable athlete. 39.5-inch vertical and a 10-foot 9-inch broad jump. They say they list him as 6'1" on Kentucky's page, but the draft is a bit more specific about it. But I think the biggest knock on him is because of how he's going to go up against stronger competition and how he's going to go up against stronger receivers. I think that's going to be the biggest knock on him. Guys, he's a really, really phenomenal defensive back. I think he is one of those guys that needs to be talked about a whole lot. I talked about him a lot on SEC Unfiltered. And look, we got a more in-depth look just because we had him a lot involved. I mean, he's just so fast whenever he's on there. He's a coverage beast. If the biggest knock on him too is that he's just injury prone. If he wasn't injured, a lot of people would be talking about him as maybe the next Denzel Ward. And look, I've heard a lot of comparisons to him when it comes to Maxwell Harrison. And I see it, to be honest with you. I do think that this is a potential first rounder. And a lot of people said, oh, well, he really ain't going to do a whole lot. He's not really the most eye-popping guy out there. Right now, top 10 cornerback, the number 67 prospect overall. Guys, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if he makes it to the first. I have him as a first rounder. If he doesn't get picked in the first round, dudes, whoever gets him in the second round is getting a burner out at DB and is going to be on an island by himself out there. The guy is just so impressive out there on that island. All right, another guy. Darius Alexander, I think that really, really showed out. Manti Te'o talked about him on the NFL Network as a guy to watch. They highlighted him at the beginning of the at the beginning of the show. By the way, shout out Powerade Zero. Really good. All right. But no, what's so impressive about Darius Alexander is that, yes, he comes from the G5 level. But the way he is just able to shed off defenders, his hands never stop moving. His footwork definitely needs work. He kind of gets happy feet when he hops out of his stance. Guys, he is a mammoth to move out at defensive tackle. The guy is just so impressive to see in person. And I think he too was in the Senior Bowl as well. And the dude could move. He's a freak. Look, probably one of the most athletic players in the draft. And I think it just shows him 28 reps on the bench press. Vert and broad jump, I'm not really worried about that with him. But guys, for a guy that's 6 foot, damn near 6'4", 305 pounds, running a 4.95 is impressive. That's not easy. It's definitely not easy for someone to do. And I think that there's a lot of good that's going to come out of him at the end of the day. And I'm really excited to see what he's going to bring. Darius Alexander is a really, really fun prospect to look. I enjoyed watching him at Senior Bowl practice. I thought he really, really had some bright moments throughout the week. He was more of a coach to some of the kids whenever he was out doing a lot of during endo drills, and we were just going through individual stuff. He became almost like a coach to a lot of these dudes that were out there at the Senior Bowl. And it showed. The guy can be, I mean, the guy was at Toledo for 5 years. Actually, 6 years, excuse me. 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So the guy has experience. But the biggest problem is that I think he'll be 25 whenever he goes into the draft. That's the only big problem. But should it affect him? No. Not really. Because the guy is still going to be a consistent playmaker. I think he'll be a backup, but I think he'll be a consistent rotational figure. I have him middle of the day, day 2. Late 3rd, early 4th, maybe. And if he falls to the 5th, it'd be a shocker to me. But that's where I have him. Landon Jackson showed out. Landon Jackson, to me, is just... There's a reason why he's projected a first-round draft pick. And look, Landon Jackson has just so much that not a lot of people know about what he is able to do out of defensive end. He just has so much power that he just brings from his hips and from his arm width. Just look at the Alabama film. Going up against Tyler Booker. Going up against Evan Neal. Going up against guys like that. Go look at the film. 4'6", 40. 40.5-inch vertical and a 10-foot 9-inch long jump. Guys, that's a freak athlete. 6'6", 264. I definitely think that a lot of people did not have him. From looking at the majority of mock drafts, a lot of people didn't have him in their first round. I think he's a definite late first rounder. I think he improved that draft stock significantly. I think he got himself into a position where he could definitely be the last pick of the first round. If the Eagles go nab Landon Jackson, you just might be getting one of the best edge rushers in the draft. And I think you can develop him into an effective edge rusher in the NFL. I mean, look at what the Eagles have done with Georgia. Essentially. Look at what they've done with that defense and what Vic Fangio has done. Just to come in and develop that team in just 1 year. made him into one of the fiercest pass rushers in the league. It would be amazing to see Landon Jackson pair alongside another edge rusher and Josh Sweat. I would really, really be intrigued to see that. Shamar Stewart. I've been telling y'all about Shamar Stewart for about half the year. Ever since the beginning of last season. I've been telling you Shamar Stewart is a game changer. I know the stats are not eye-popping. I know he is not a guy that is going to, he got 10 sacks in a game, or, look at this. Well, he's not a first or second team all SEC. He's not all conference. Okay. Y'all drafted Trayvon Walker 2 years ago or 3 years ago and had no problem with it. He wasn't in all conference. So what? Dude, Shamar Stewart is a freak of an athlete. It's almost otherworldly with what he brings. The guy had an incredible performance at the combine. And I think Shamar Stewart is one of those guys that is hungry to show out. 4.59 40. And we saw him at the Senior Bowl. I thought he had a great Senior Bowl practice. Guys, he came in 281. The guy dropped 10 pounds in over a month. 4.58 40, 40-inch vert, 10'11" long jump. A lot of people had him as first rounder. They had him late first rounder, probably within the 25s, 30 to the 32s. Guys, he just might have surged himself into a top 15 draft pick and got himself another couple $1 million. He just might have gotten himself that, and he deserves it. Absolutely deserves it. Guys, Shamar Stewart is one of the most underrated guys on this list. Everybody talks about Nick Scourton, and make no mistake, Nick Scourton's a beast. Now that Shamar Stewart dropped about 10 pounds, or just over 10 pounds, you're going to be able to utilize him off the edge and in the interior. I think 265 is going to be a perfect weight for him coming off the edge. I think that's where he'd be best at. He had a lot of double teams. He was 290 out in the at Texas A&M. Kid you not, 290 pounds. And he was still a disruptor. And so I think with him dropping that about 25 pounds ever since last season, that's impressive. I think that there's a big upside to him and that not a lot of people are looking at. I know he doesn't have a whole lot of stats. He's had a sack and a half each and every single year. Guys, you do realize the guy was basically treated like a nose tackle sometimes. The guy was basically placed at, he was either above the center or he was in a 2 or a 3. And if you don't know what a 2 or 3 is, that's a two technique or a 3 technique. 2 technique, you're shading right between, I think somewhere off the guards. Technically inside shoulder to where the center is. 3 tech, I think, is head up with the guard. 3 tech is outside the guard. It's been a while since I've been around the defensive line room. But I think Shamar Stewart just clinched himself a top 15 spot. If he gets picked outside the top 15, you're going to be shocked. He better have stolen something between now and draft day in 2 months. Because it's a robbery if he doesn't get picked inside the top 15. Nick Eamon-Wari, hey, man. Nick Emmanwori, have a day. Nick Emmanwori came out and showed out, bro. 6'3", 220. Oh, my God. Dude, what in the hell did he come out? Oh, my God. And he was that in high school or in college. Nick Emmanwori had a great showing. College Football Nation named him SEC Player and Defensive Player of the Year. First team All-SEC. First team All-American. Guys, he was a hell of a player, dude. Emmanwori's been one of the best coming out of high school. Put on 20 pounds ever since he got out of high school. And the guy is a freaking athlete. The guy can fly. Guys, there's a reason why he was an All-American and why he was one of the best safeties in college football. 6'3", 220, 4'3", 840, 43-inch vertical, 11-foot, 6-inch long jump. How many DBs do you see with these type of numbers? Absolutely impressive. At 220 pounds as a safety. Guys, that's impressive. I don't care what you say. That is impressive. I would say he outshined Malachi Starks this year. But Malachi Starks we'll get to Malachi Starks in a minute, by the way. But I think Emmanwori, I'm sure a lot of people had him as a first rounder. He's a top 15 draft pick to me. If I were the Dolphins, I would really be considering Nick Emmanwori. I would change my Malachi Starks pick to Nick Emmanwori because of what he's just going to bring to the table. More physical, better in coverage, playmaker is what you're going to get with a guy like that. James Pierce. I think James Pierce improved his draft stock a good bit. I know a lot of people were not liking him after last year. Look, make no mistake about this. I have been very high on James Pierce Jr. Remember, this was a guy that many people consider to be the number one draft pick going into the 2024 season. Now, I know he didn't have the numbers like he did last year, but I will say this. He showed out in big games. Or I should say, he showed out against Alabama. He showed up against Florida. Made big plays down the stretch there. Showed up against Kentucky. But in big games, outside of Bama and outside of Florida, where was he? Oklahoma. Where was he at? NC State. Didn't really show a whole lot. Georgia was isolated. Ohio State was isolated. He was treated more like how Jadeveon Clowney was treated during his junior year. I'll say this. If sophomores could declare for the draft, I think James Pierce would have been a top 5 pick last year. I really believe that. But unfortunately, that's not the case. Anyways, here's my thing. Is that I think that I do see a lot of Clowney in James Pierce Jr. I really do. And it's crazy for me to say that, but I'm being genuine. I think that James Pierce has so much talent coming off the edge. I think there's a reason why he's a first-team All-SEC. And I think that's why there's just so much that he's going to bring to the table. Teams are not going to defend him like they did in 2024 this past year. Because this won't be college football. I promise you that. James Pierce is going to get better. James Pierce is going to be a great prospect. He's a top 20 pick, in my opinion. You know, it sucks that he's not a top 5 pick because you didn't really see anything that was eye-popping. You didn't see that crazy athleticism that you saw a good bit of last year, of 2023. But you still have to admit that this is still one of the best edge rushers in this year's class. It's hard to admit when you turn on the tape. But if James Pierce falls outside the top 25, Super Bowl contenders on defense is going to be incredible. I know the Chiefs would really love somebody like him, especially to pair alongside George Karlaftis on the outside. Chris Jones is getting close to retirement. I'm sure the Eagles would love a guy like him. Again, we'll see. All right, I'll go to my losers. I don't have two. Only have two, but these two were pretty big to me. I'll say Malachi Starks was. Here was a guy I thought was a potential top 10 pick during last year, but he fell outside the top 20. He's going to go to Miami at 13. I think it's inevitable. I do see why. I mean, it's a match made in heaven, to be honest with you. Look, Jalen Ramsey's, how long does he have in Miami? Look, they just signed him to a 3-year extension, bro. Now, in 2024, he's still coming off of injury in 23 because you're dealing with tears in both shoulders. You tore your meniscus, by the way. Jalen Ramsey's 30 years old. Now, I'm not saying Jalen Ramsey is losing a step. That's not what I'm saying at all. I still think Jalen Ramsey has a lot to bring to the table. Guys, make no mistake about this. There's a lot that I think people really need to pay attention to. And it's almost incredible to see that not a lot of teams are paying attention to this because imagine this. Just imagine. We're talking about Jalen Ramsey on one end. I think he plays DB, or does he play safety now? Because I think that he's been going to both. No, he's still a DB. But no, imagine this would what Miami's secondary would look like. You would have Jalen Ramsey. You would obviously have a lot of free agents. Javon Holland is going into free agency. Elijah Campbell. Jordan Poyer. Dude, Jordan Poyer doesn't have a whole lot of time left. Javon Holland, man. Where's he been? Been a while since I've seen him, but still got a lot to look forward to. He's going to be entering the last year of his rookie deal. They may let him walk. I'm not going to lie to you. Jordan Poyer, 33 years old, man. And look, I love Jordan Poyer, but he doesn't have a lot of time left in him either. So you got to get young. You obviously have to look at what's left in the arsenal. And I think getting a guy with the caliber of Malachi Starks is going to be big for Miami. But when it comes to just all that you see with what you saw in the combine, not too impressed. He was a lot slower than some of his counterparts. But again, it should not affect him in this year's draft. I think he's solidified. He's going to Miami. I don't know if he should have even participated, to be honest with you. But regardless, something that you can put on paper. This is one where I was kind of questioning because I don't know if this was bad or if it was good, to be honest. Harold Fannin Jr. to me, look, make no mistake. I've seen him in person. I've seen him on the field. Phenomenal athlete, phenomenal talent. You need to draft him. Make no mistake. Not impressive numbers, but again, game-breaking capability. Guys, I've shown you his highlights. I've seen him in person. You're not going to find another athlete like Harold Fannin Jr. You're just not. And if you can find another guy that's better than him, I would wish you a lot of luck in trying to. I know everybody's going to talk about Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland. I know. But I think he's better than the two. I really do. I think overall, career-wise, I would say Tyler Warren and Harold Fannin are going to be tied for the best careers. I just do. I just do. Because of what you're seeing on the field. And because of what is so impressive about him. Come on. How can you not love a guy like that? So, that's my winners and losers for now. I'm going to have all this updated for... I'm not going to be on tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to be on Sunday. Monday afternoon, I'll try to hop on here and talk to you all about just overall combine-wise. We'll have a couple of guests on, talk some combine talk. I know I've had quite a bit reach out to come and be a part of that. So, real excited, man. Really, really excited. Hey, before we continue any further, we do have some serious news that we do have to address. So, Auburn has announced that Hugh Freeze has prostate cancer. Unbelievable. It's an early form. So, this is what the statement says. Recently, Coach Freeze was diagnosed with an early form of prostate cancer. Thankfully, it was detected early, and his doctors have advised him that it is very treatable and curable. He will continue his normal coaching duties and responsibilities. Thank you, Jesus. And with forthcoming proper treatment, is expected to make a full recovery. Coach Freeze is incredibly appreciative of our medical professionals and has asked that we use his experience as a reminder of the importance of prioritizing and scheduling annual health meetings. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Jesus. It was good, man. It was awesome. It was great. You know, that's awesome. Really, really good. I know that spring practice for Auburn will begin in a couple of weeks, but again, we will continue to lift up Coach Freeze in prayer. Look, man, we wish him nothing but the best of luck the rest of the way, man. I mean, that's it's just a nasty thing to go through, man. It just seems so unfair, but And it just sucks. But we wish him nothing but the best, and we miss him the absolute. Oh, he's going to be just fine. You know, I know he's going to be good, and I know he's going to do a lot of things. All right, let's go ahead. Let's knock out a quick break, and we will be right back from our good friends over at Vocal Breaks.
Are you a music producer, DJ, or just someone who loves to remix tracks? Well, say goodbye to messy, low-quality track separations and hello to vocalbreaks.com, the most powerful AI-driven music editing tool on the market. Unlike other separation tools, Vocal Breaks harnesses the most advanced AI model available, delivering crystal clear vocals, pristine instrumentals, and an unmatched precision, all online with no software required. You can extract vocals or instrumentals with studio quality accuracy. It's perfect for remixes, mashups, karaoke, and music production, and for a faster, cleaner, and more reliable than any other service. So if you want the best, don't settle for less. Go on over to vocalbreaks.com and use code LucasHill10 now and experience the full future of AI-powered music editing. That's vocalbreaks.com using code LucasHill10.
All right, we're back once again as we continue on with our story. All right, so Luke Johnson is the first one to break this yesterday. The Saints are expected to hire Bo Davis to their defensive line coach, according to a league source, adding another coach from the collegiate ranks. Davis most recently worked as the D-line coach at LSU, is considered to be one of the NC2A's most respected and better D-line coaches. So it's huge, man. I mean, Luke Johnson, by the way, shout out Luke Johnson, former Marine and a Times-Picayune topic. Anyways, let's continue on. It sucks just knowing where it. I think if you're a Saints fan, you're happy because you get arguably one of the best coaches in all of Division I football at the defensive line position, one of the most respected. But at the same time, if you're an LSU fan, you're pissed. If it was any other team, I think you'd be just like, man, God damn it. Or screw, God dog it. I hate the Lions. What the heck? Or I hate the Texans. What the heck? Dang it. The fact that it's the Saints is just like it's another brand of hatred. But I think if all Saints fans are Tigers fans, and I'm sure all LSU fans are Saints fans as well. Kevin Peoples will probably take over. You know, Peoples was with Blake Baker when he took over the D-line room whenever he was there. I think he was well respected in that department. But you got to address the interior of the defensive line as well. I think you have to be real with yourself if you're LSU, and you have to say, we need more analysts in our staff. We need more to add on the defensive side of the ball so that our interior doesn't get pushed around like it did last year, and how we can contend for SEC and national championships so that we can be much better in this situation. So, again, it's a big loss if you're LSU. It's a big get if you're a New Orleans Saint. So let's talk about this thing going on at Texas A&M with the new deal. So this is breaking news according to Billy Lucci. Texas A&M set to announce a game-changing agreement in the multimedia rights space, inking an 15-year, $515 million fully guaranteed deal with Playfly Sports. So now A&M jumps from $18 million to $34 million annually, thanks to the largest such deal in college athletics. So here's the thing. A lot of people have been saying this. If I was a Texas A&M donor, I would prohibit the money going towards the athletic department as financially irresponsible and potentially the biggest waste of money in sports history. SMU making the college football playoff championship game and final top 25 its first season highlights the irrelevance of Texas A&M. There's still future deals around the termination of the old contract. How do you think this will affect media rights for 4 other schools? They say it wasn't. So here's my thing about this is that it's huge. Let me just say that. So it's going to begin not this year, but next. So their first year payout is going to be $12 million net positive increase over what the Aggies would receive in the final year of its current media rights agreement with Learfield, one of the most utilized media rights organizations in college sports. And A&M will also receive $95 million over the first 3 of the deal with Playfly. So part of that, an unspecified portion of the sponsorship deal will be marked for the NIL opportunity for Aggie student athletes, which, by the way, a good majority of that is going to be used for Aggie athletics. Let me promise you that. I promise you that there's a lot of money that's going to be going into A&M athletics. I promise you this. You think, oh, it's just going to be it's going to be for your core 3. Football, basketball, baseball. Or football, baseball, basketball. Technically baseball, football, basketball at the current moment. But you got to do whatever it takes. And I think this is massive for A&M. I think it definitely puts them in a huge, huge ordeal. I think that there's an opportunity with them. You know, Playfly is already affiliated with Auburn and LSU, and look at what Auburn and LSU have done in the portal. And I think this one with A&M, it's huge. It's absolutely incredible to see just how much revenue they're going to get and how much they're going to be able to spend on NIL. You think it will make a big impact? You better think again in the next 2 years. I promise you that. These kids are going to get intrigued. They're going to love the money, and they're going to want to go to Texas A&M. All right, that's going to wrap it up for us here today. Y'all have a great weekend, and we'll see you back here Monday afternoon.